So hello everybody again. Thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very, very happy that there are people who care about free speech, free press, intellectual property such as ideas, thoughts, writing, or projects, issues that I'm going to discuss with you today. And I'm here actually to discuss, to communicate with you rather than to just say what I've experienced. But please see my talk more as a background to our common dialogue after the pause. So I have, as you can see, my title involves free speech, but it starts first of all with the word sadism, and this is going to be my point today. What I have seen and experienced is a form of sadism, different forms of sadism, and they all somehow connect to the lack of free speech and free thought. So my talk is on violence and suppression of survival instincts, political freedom, science, academia, free press, and free speech. Actually, I'm talking about Sweden. But Sweden is part of the world. And as part of the world, I'm talking about also the world, right? So that's why I didn't put just Sweden. It's just an example from Sweden. A little bit about me. I'm a doctor in general linguistics, it's called, theoretical linguistics from Vartov University. I have a second degree as an associate professor in human-machine interaction, specializing in design of virtual humans. So type of artificial intelligence, which I work with at the University of Southern California, Institute for Creative Technologies, if you know about this place. And I've tried to explain where I come from. Originally, always the question is, where do you come from? And I'm extremely diverse, both socially and genetically, in any possible way. Part of my family is Bulgarian, part of it is Greek, part of it is Swedish, part of it is Russian. The Russian-Swedish part has immigrated to the United States. So my closest relatives today are Americans. But the story is very long and it's very surprising. It is kind of locked into my name. As you can see, most of my publications are under Bilyana Martinovsky with an I. And that is because I realized that I have Russian-Swedish background quite late in my life. I had already published a lot. And then I realized, I should spell my name with a Y, which means that it has the Russian background, not the Polish or any other background, which I wasn't sure about that because I didn't know my father's side. So that's why you would see some publications as an Y, because I decided, yes, I'm going to be now properly presented as the person who really I am, although I didn't know about it. So that's why you will see me sometimes with an I and sometimes with a Y. This is the last edited work I did, and it's about emotion in group decision and negotiation. I have written a lot of work on that and the research in this field in the Association for Group Decision Negotiation, which is based in the United States, but it's worldwide. That's kind of my general background. I'm also a mother, and I have a dog. My story here starts with me returning to Sweden in 2008 from the United States because I was really, really tired of 8 years of Bush propaganda, and I worked with research on virtual agents, but a lot of the work was applications within military contexts. So I thought maybe we can apply this knowledge and this technology in another way, maybe for education. But then when I came to Sweden, then I came to completely different problems, which I didn't expect. For instance, I started to hear about gang rapes, and I was about to teach a course in communication which involved social media, but I had no experience in social media. I've read a lot about it, I read a lot about communication, I've written about communication, and negotiations, electronic negotiations, support systems for negotiations and for group decision taking and so on. But I had never had really time for, I couldn't really understand, how do people get to Facebook? There is no time, I have no time for anything, how can I get there? But I decided to join Twitter because I wondered, how does Trump actually do these things on Twitter? How does he accomplish things that way to Twitter? So I wanted to join and had some experience before I start speaking to students who know everything about social media. And here I am teaching, I'm not even on it. So I joined it, and I very quickly realized that you have to have a topic. You just can't be there. It's not like any other form of social media where you can just read others and post pictures of my dog or anything else. But no, I had to actually have a topic. So I thought a very strange thing were the news about rapes and gang rapes in Sweden, sexual abuse in Sweden. And I thought this is a very, very serious issue. Is it really true? Is it really happening in Sweden? So I asked people around, and nobody really knew. And there is what you see here. It is a flashback in the sense that I'm giving you a background of what happened to me. It starts for me somewhere in 2017, beginning of 2017, when I hear about a gang rape that happened in an area called Nynäshamn. And I can't find information about it anywhere. There's just news that this has happened, and a picture of a woman who was completely blue in the face, beaten up and raped as she was walking home on the street the whole day. I thought, we're supposed to be loved. We're not supposed to be beaten and destroyed that way. She was destroyed. She was in a hospital in a psychotic state. So I wanted to find out more about it, and then a friend of mine from Vartov University told me, well, you should go to Flashback. And Flashback is a free speech forum in Sweden. It's a kind of a site where everybody is anonymous. I'm not there, but you can read, even if you're not there, you can just read things. And I decided to go in there and find out. Apparently there are a lot of anonymous policemen and policewomen there because they have information that no one else has. So if you want to know something that's going on in Sweden, you go to Flashback. Everything is going on there. Everybody is anonymous. This same friend of mine told me that you should not talk about anything that has to do with immigration in Sweden or problems in Sweden because they are firing people. No way, you are exaggerating. That is not happening. That is Sweden, that is Europe. This is not happening. And if it's happening, then let's see, do we have political freedom or don't we have political freedom? And because I was an associate professor and he was working as system development, I thought maybe we have more as academics, we can discuss anything. So I went there and I found, you could see there, there is one person who is commenting on another person. So when you read here, BO, that stands for offer, so brottsoffer, so the victim. And so this person says here, the BO har outat sig själv på Facebook idag. So the victim has come out on Facebook herself. And I don't think we should spread her name. This account says, and the other person is responding and saying, "What's the purpose of what you're saying? Why are you saying this?" Well, although it's a very small interaction, you see what's going on. The person who says "bo," that's not just anybody. That's kind of police lingo, right? And it's presenting itself as had, but actually the style of writing is more female. And the other person, we don't know who it is, probably is a male. So they're kind of controlling their police people that are trying to inform the readers. So she actually did come out on Facebook, and I went there to see that it really, well, if she was really there. And I saw that she had put the face of Don Eliasson. At that time, he was the head of police. And she had written, "You said that it is the more secure country in the world, that Sweden is the most secure country in the world." And next to his face, she has put her face. Destroyed. Blue. The saddest eyes I could ever imagine in a young girl. And she had written a short letter under her post that said, I was so indoctrinated that I didn't dare to say that their faces were brown. I was so impressed by this. I come from LA. I mean, I just arrived from Los Angeles. I mean, we are all kinds of colors. We can speak about each other. There is no problem if someone is brown or yellow or whatever color. It's not a problem. I'm proud of what I am, or they can be proud of what they have, and why shouldn't that be an issue? Why should that be an issue to mention? I reacted there, and I supported her. She had a lot of negative comments to what she said. That also surprised me. Don't people have empathy? I mean, this person has lost her life over this. She might not even survive it. Who knows how long she can live with these consequences. And then she thanked me in a private message. And then I got other letters from girls who also have been raped, and they felt that no one is speaking for them. And no one is, like, they felt they have no voice. I was surprised because I'm really a newcomer into this. I really entered just to see what it was. At the same time, what was going on, I don't know if you've heard of Peter Springare. It's a policeman who all of a sudden wrote this very, very famous sentence, "I'm so fucking tired," he said. Forgive the bad language, it was a quote. And he continues by saying that he can't take it anymore. There's so much crime. And he sees that the main part of the criminal population has alien background, and they cannot resolve this until they address the issue of the perpetrators and the crimes morality. He was about to be fired. He was police reported by the police, and then he got enormous in zero time in time of probably a matter of minutes or hours. He got thousands of followers. And what were they doing? They were collecting flowers, money to buy flowers for these policemen, because they felt bad that he has been police reported and he's going to be fired. He was quite close to be retired, so he decided to say this months before he's retired. He will get some pension anyway. He will get a lower pension, but people were collecting money to pay his pension. It was, again, a huge surprise to me that a policeman cannot talk freely about his experiences at work. Why are people collecting flowers? All of a sudden I saw that lots of people, whoever expressed some kind of anger online, was removed. The accounts were closed. And again, I didn't understand. Then I read about, this is happening in 2017, and I started reading about it, and then I read about a woman who was raped by 8 men already in 2011, for hours. Can you imagine the torture? She knew one of the men who invited her to some kind of party, and then they took her to some basement, and they group raped her for hours and hours and hours. She said she experienced she wanted to die. Of course she wanted to die. So she was Swedish. They were men with migrant background. I don't know, some of them probably with second generation background or first generation background. One of them was from Kuwait, as I remember. So this is not the first time this is happening. What I see in 2017 as I arrived in Sweden, this has been going on. It is not new. Why aren't people doing something about it? How come it's continuing? Why aren't we addressing the issues? Then I found out that there were 144 indicted gang rapes, 6,000 rape cases reported to the police in 2011. 70% more than the 1,000. So this is 1,000 cases more, and many of them were group violence. The statistics were showing that those that had total sentencing time for Swedish names were 51 years, and for non-Swedish names, because they couldn't establish anything else about them, was 280 years. But this is 144 of 1,000 cases. It's very little, right? It's just a few percent. So what is the court system doing? My thesis is on court examinations in different countries, in different cultures. So of course I was, what's going on? I read cases for rape cases and how easy it is to manipulate the victim, and how victims are, what kind of language and technology is used to silence the victim, even during an interrogation at court. I've written about it. But now I'm seeing that they don't even get to a court. They don't even reach a court. They don't see a judge. That was very surprising to me. Then I read more. I found out this was an official report from the United Nations that the rapes, the rate for rapes per capita are the highest. This was explained, and it's still explained, with the fact that, well, Sweden is so free-minded, women are so free-minded that they report more than other countries. But you still cannot explain this jump, right? It can explain probably something, but it can't explain the jump of the amount of violence. Then I started reading more, and I found, I knew that the Prime Minister was called Löfven, but I didn't know the other person, Lars Bern, who is also a professor in a different field. And he's apparently known in Sweden. For me, he was unknown at that time I saw this. But then I saw that the Prime Minister of Sweden is not reacting to these numbers and to the fact that very few people actually go to court. Very few of this particular kind of crimes. And he's responding that there is sexual harassment and it cannot be automatically related to the origin. Sure, but this is not sexual harassment, right? And then he started the Me Too movement and so on. It was pushed towards the sexual harassment, but this is not sexual harassment. This is sexual sadism. It's a very different business. So he's avoiding the topic by mitigating it. And Lars Bern is responding and saying, well, you cannot say that it's just Swedish men who have perpetrated that, and it is actually abusing our honor as men. You have to address the issue in its real color and real issues. So I see that I start to notice that there is some kind of reaction to the situation, and there is a battle. Then we see statistics that is saying predictively that it's possible that the rape level in 2016 summer is going to jump up, and this is because of prognosis and development through the years. So you see, we are starting already here from 1980, number of reported rapes, not the actual rapes, the reported rapes, and then up to 6,000 in 2008. I am doing this entire, 10 years I'm not here, so I'm not aware that this is really going on. So there are a lot of signals. There are a lot of signals. There is statistics, there is available knowledge. But how come people don't know about it? Why aren't they allowed to discuss it? Then I read about an incredible case. A woman who was, she reported that, and it was a big case, reported that she was raped by 19 to 20 men. I am now, this is a kind of a literal translation to what she said during her interrogation. And there were 19 to 20 men waiting in the stairwell. It was a stairwell somewhere in the darkness of Stockholm. She was there because she wanted to buy drugs, and she was addicted. They discussed who would first, and I panicked. Someone held me against the wall and pushed his penis down the neck. 5, 6 guys lift me up and carry me through the stairwell. The others follow. Then I get a kick in my head. Then they dunk my head in the floor and I become unconscious. When I woke up, I had one in every hole, mouth, anal, vaginal. Then they changed. They pulled me up onto the second floor, the stairwell. Many stood up, down with their pants and waited for their turn. We can continue reading this. It ends with her being thrown down on the floor. And one was from the front, one was behind. The others laughed. Remember that. We see lots of cases in which the perpetrators of this sadistic crime are actually behaving truly sadistically because they laugh at the victim's misery. They thought it was fun. A man came out of the stairwell to throw away garbage. He did nothing to help me. He greeted the man and walked in. I lay naked on the floor. This is our situation in Sweden. Literally and metaphorically. So I'm entering this space. I'm entering the space in which women are publicly raped in public places. They're laughed at as they're dragged on the ground. And bystanders walk away without helping them, without doing anything about it. Why don't they do anything about it, I wonder? How is this possible? Then I read about this case a little bit later. In October 2016, there is a handicapped woman on a wheelchair. She was somehow in a company together with some migrants. They were actually seeking refugee status in Sweden. And she needed to go to a toilet, and they entered together with her, and they all raped her at the same time, while she couldn't move. They were all released because they said that she didn't move, so they thought she liked it. This was yes.
They said you didn't do enough
Resistance. Yeah, she didn't move. She couldn't move, so she didn't, in their sense, resistance. But she's on a wheelchair. So they were released, all of them, and people on this island, Gotland, who protested and went out on the streets and protested, were all called Nazis. If they're not Nazis, then they're just fascists, right extremists. I mean, I'm really looking for the words that are coming up because it makes no sense to me. If you're a Nazi, then you're a leftist. You're not right, because National Socialism is left, it's not right. So this particular woman who was fighting for the rights of the girl who was victimized there was actually hung out in the news and as a Nazi. It's a very, very serious offense to call someone something like that. I mean, a person who has been exterminating people. Is she exterminating people just because she stands up for someone who is? So then I realized people don't talk and avoid the topic because they're labeled. At the same time, we see that even BBC is showing you that there are, per capita, more ISIS fighters, so-called, they call them fighters, terrorists in Sweden than in any other country, except that they actually come and live there. How come this is happening? I mean, Sweden is part of the European Union. The European Union is taking a position against ISIS, the Islamic State, terror. We're fighting terror. How come you're accepting terrorists among the civilians? This is equal to, during the Second World War, Germany accepting Russian refugees. Can you imagine that? How cool would that act? This is inviting the enemy among civilians, unarmed people. Then, by chance, on Twitter, I see this site shortly called Gang Rape Sweden. It's Gang Rape in Sweden. And it offers some incredible statistics. Not only this, it actually offers actual court cases. So you could press on each court case and check, is it true? Did it happen? Is it a real document? They were all OCR'd. So you notice that the site is giving you the names of the perpetrators and the actual cases. They are convicted, and it's telling you that most of them are not deported. And it's giving you how many sentences they got and for what. Aggravated rape basically means gang rape or group rape. And it goes on and calculates statistics, and it says that non-Swedish names have 403 years of prison time. So I went through those and I thought, this can't be true. This is so much, it's a lot. How is this possible? And why don't we do something about it? How come these people are still around us? So what I did is I decided to verify the data. And that's where my story starts. I decided to check if it's true. So I contacted all the 43 district courts in Sweden, and I asked them, please send me your ledgers of rape cases, any kind of rape, whatever rape case, not harassment, not other kind of reported cases, but rape cases. And they sent me, because there is something called offentlighetsprincipen. So they are covered by UN agreements for freedom of information when it comes to state data. And I could see with my own eyes what they're talking about. I wanted to see if this is true. There are very few cases here, because here this site was citing only the convicted. It has gotten all the cases and the verdicts, and it was citing only convictions. But when I got the ledgers, I got this. Thousands and thousands and thousands of cases. I wanted to actually show you all the pages I got, but we can be clicking here all evening. They look like this. So I was receiving these from all the 43 courts, either by paper or as files. They had different procedures, and I could go to each case and ask if it is gang rape to check it, double check it. So it was like this, one, and so on, and so on, and so on. About 100,000, because I asked for all the rape cases that were registered in the courts from 2011 to 2017. Because they could give you 5 years and not further than that.
For all Sweden? Or?
So, all Sweden. 43 district courts. So these are only the registered. These cases have already come to the system of the courts. when you report a rape, it might not even reach. So the reported rapes must be much more than those that are reaching the courts, because they can be stopped in a pre-investigation stage, and most of them are stopped in pre-investigation stage. So I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at this, and I don't know if you can notice this, I put some here. Some of them are våldtäkt, which means rape of children. And so you can see that a bit less than 50% of all those that I received, less than 50%, but more than 40%, were rapes against children. And these are not exact numbers, even if they're exact cases, because some case can be reported as harassment because the girl didn't dare to say the word våldtäkt, but then afterwards they change to rape cases, or the opposite, so they are never exact numbers. At the same time, so this is when I enter the picture. I see this and I thought, this is unbelievable. How is this possible? 21st century. I listen to Charles Navour. This is not my world. This is not normal. Then in April 2017, we have another terrorist act. They should be called sadistic acts, because this is a person who is mowing people on the main street in Stockholm, and with the intention to kill as many as possible. He said it himself. He wanted to kill as many Swedes as possible. He does not regret it. He will do it again. He was crushing humans and animals. There was a person with his dog on the street as well. There was a girl whose body was cut in pieces. So this picture was published, and pictures like this were published on that site, Gang Rape Sweden. At that time, no one allowed publication of the horror pictures, of the cut bodies, of the scary site in the press. But this site published it. And from that moment on, and because of the fact that they were publishing stuff about Korean gang rapes, they were attacked, which they said on Twitter. They said, we are attacked. The site is constantly attacked. It was an American media site. It was registered in the States, in California. So it was American media, but it has a Swedish version. So I didn't really understand, are they Swedes, are they Americans, what is this, something combination? I had no idea. So I decided to suggest a project to my department. And I have been teaching at Vartov University, in Gothenburg University, and Stockholm University. And I was at Stockholm University at the time. I didn't want to move to live in Stockholm, so I preferred to have a research position, which means that I'm applying for a project and I'm working on my projects. So after teaching for many, many years, I decided, okay, now I just want to do research projects. One of them was the book that I published on emotion and group decision negotiation. So I wanted to suggest a new project, and the project was called Towards a Virtual Therapist Simulation. There, I have worked on systems like this in the United States. It's a lot of text, you could, just for your orientation also. But it is basically an idea that we could help the victims. There is a lot of offered help for the perpetrators, for men to become less violent. But there is very little helping the victims. And in Sweden, at least at that time, it was 10 hours therapy, maximum 15 hours therapy. And each session, let's say in the best case, 90 minutes. This is nothing for a gang rape person, nothing. For a woman or a child, or a man, because a lot of men are raped in Sweden too. So I thought we could help this, because otherwise they go on morphine, they take morphine, and then they start become dependent on morphine, and things are not getting better. So if you do that, you have to understand what post-traumatic stress disorder is, because a lot of them get post-traumatic stress disorder. And that is a change in the morphology of the brain. It is not a psychological issue only. It is actually the change of the morphology of the brain. Our brain physically changes after a strong trauma like this. So we have to understand it. When people say that, and I thought in general, I'm seeing that people didn't really grasp what that meant. This person is not the same person as before. It has a physical change. So I thought maybe we can develop this virtual therapist that will assist when they go to therapy. Usually the therapists are giving the victims and their patients some kind of homework to, they have to expose themselves to the trauma again and be interrupted. So they tell the story, they tell the horrible moment or some horrible detail, and they have to be interrupted. Once their heart starts beating too fast, or they start sweating, trembling, or any other physical symptoms they have, you have to stop it. And you have to offer different kinds of relaxation from the exposure. And you have to do that again and again and again and again. You might wonder, why do we do it? It's like a form of torture, right? To go through it again and again and again and again for months and probably years. And the reason why you do it is because while you do it, you're training the brain. So this amygdala, it is a function that is here in the limbic system. It's the limbic system that we believe is dealing with whatever we call today emotions. Is actually changing its size by reinterpreting the experiences. So if you have constant trauma, that is going to change the size of the amygdala. It could be, sometimes it can become bigger and sometimes it can become smaller. So it could be hyperactive or it could be less active, atrophied, doesn't react. So lots of things is happening to a person and they don't react. How come that is happening? Or a small thing happens, like a small sound, and then very strong reaction. This shows you the state of the amygdala of the person. How big is the amygdala? So when you train a person to go through the through the trauma and then stop it, go through it and stop it, you're actually changing the size. This has been done. It's proven that it's happening, and I've worked for some system that could help the patients to do that. I thought it could be an assistant that you always have in a moment when you feel that you can't survive this moment. There, it's there, probably on your phone or on your computer. It might sound outlandish, but it actually works, and it's used for soldiers, for American soldiers. Some of the first virtual agent systems were developed for that purpose, for the purpose of helping veterans who got post-traumatic stress disorder. That was my project. I thought, here we can do something about it. I suggested it to my department. I met one professor, and let's not mention his name, and then I discussed it with him, and we thought, sure, we go for it. We should not mention the origin of the perpetrators, but we have to, because they speak a different language to the victims. One of the traumas of the victims is they don't understand what is going on. They are raping them and they don't understand what they're saying, right? This is part of the trauma. We have to treat the language, we have to include the language. But anyway, the most important part is that we do the exposure therapy and the virtual human acting as a therapist. I can show you some of the, maybe it will work, how some of these systems look like. I have worked on this system, particularly if you see the natural language, the emotion part. This is for training doctors and for training negotiation skills for American soldiers who have to bargain in crisis and war situations abroad. This is a hospital, and an American soldier is coming and he wants the NGO doctor to move the clinic. So we need to train the soldiers before they go anywhere around the world to learn to negotiate, to move the clinic, because they need to bomb there, but they can't say that they will bomb there, they just have to move the clinic without saying that they will. So we train the virtual characters just as an example for you to see how they look like. It's one of my colleagues.
What do you want? I have ordered
So all these things, gestures, movements, speech.
I think I understand what you say. You are going to attack.
Doctor, we're trying to help these people too.
The patient is not here.
We can organize transportation to assist you with the move.
Who is going to move us? The U.S. military. These Americans who can understand them.
I can't disclose more information, but it'll be a problem to stay here.
You will probably won't kill these people. I must go now.
Okay, so this is just for you to very shortly to show you how this kind of virtual humans look like. They can communicate and act as humans. They can be in different forms. They can be in holographic form. They can be in this form, and so on. So now I suggested that, and I was thinking, okay, we're doing something about the situation. It's horrible. I was still in shock by the numbers I got from the district courts. To be honest, I was shocked. And then all of a sudden, I get an email from one of my colleagues, and he is the head of the department at that time. And he's telling me that I've seen that you seem to be active in Twitter, discussing, among other things, immigration, nationalism, and lots of other sensitive political issues. This is fine for you to say as a person, but since you are mentioning DSV as your current employer, I see as a major problem for us. So, in zero time, my research position as an associate professor in Stockholm University was removed the same day. I was never warned. Nobody called me. Nobody told me, hey, you're talking about these immigrants, don't do that. Or any of that kind. I was just removed from one day to the other. Together with this letter, he had put also this tweet. Usually on Twitter, for some reason I have American followers. Maybe because I have some American friends there, but somehow American followers. So I translate what's going on in Sweden. They ask me, what's going on in Sweden? So I tell them, okay. So the Genward Sweden site had published this. And it said, Kaiserplan, Sverige attackerar i Stockholm, terrornätverk, kriminell terror på nätet och så vidare. So I tried to translate this. I'm not supposed to mention the name, but this is the email that was sent directly to me from the university. And I was like, what's the problem? I translated what they said. They said that this person is working in an organization called Yoga Här, or Yoga Här. I'm here, or I'm hunting here. But you could see it in different ways probably. And I just translated it, and I couldn't believe it, because it claimed that the same person is working in an organization that is shutting down accounts and media in social media, particularly on Facebook. So they sit there, thousands of people, and they shut down accounts by reporting them. Even if, for whatever reason, they're reporting them. And they shut them down that way. And that this says that she's one of the organizers. She's a communication strategist. But at the same time works at Stockholm University, where I work. So I was surprised. Could you really teach media and communication and at the same time in the evening go and shut down people for whatever they say? Isn't that the opposite of what media is supposed to be? Like, we're there to discuss, to inform, and so on. So I thought it was strange, and I thought I would check that fact. So I asked, is it true? Is this really true? I didn't get an answer. I just got, as I said, this email. No answer to my question. There was no explanation either why this particular retweet of mine is there. So I wondered, so who is this organization? What is this organization? And this organization is actually founded by an Iranian-Swedish ex-journalist. She's worked in the Swedish TV. Her husband works in Swedish TV. He's also one of the managers of this foundation and organization, and they operate on Facebook, they say, but they don't operate only on Facebook because they are not on Facebook, so they operate everywhere and also personally. And then now this group is closed. No one can see who's there. But at that time, people couldn't find out. And they found out that very interesting people are members of this organization. I don't know if you know, but this is a politician. This is Minister of Social Affairs. She actually just resigned. Annika Strandhäll, Fridolin from the Miljöpartiet. Pascalidou, a famous journalist. Virtanen, famous journalist, but also he was accused of in a rape case. He wrote a book about it and so on. So a lot of even people in the government were members of that organization. That could explain why I could be removed. My associate professorship can be removed from within hours. No discussion, no questions asked, nothing, just bam, out. And then some people send me, for instance, information about this person, Helena Brunner, who is kind of head of an organization for youth and civil society questions, and they are funding the Jag är här organization that somehow is involved in my removal. What they do when they say that they do is we want to make noise. So we want people to hear about it. We want to attack and stop people from speaking online. But they want to make noise, so they did make noise. I just looked yesterday, just before the talk, wanted to see, because I'm not there on Facebook, but I wanted to see how it looks now. If you just type the name of your hat and go to Facebook, you see this is them. This is how they're a closed group, so you can't see who's member anymore. It could be that the Prime Minister is member, but you wouldn't know. And then the third thing that appears after them is actually me, which is very strange. I have absolutely nothing to do with them, other than that they actually removed me from university. So I asked for my right to get information from the university according to offentlighetsprincipen. I asked for all the state-based interactions in the university, and I asked, could you please send me all letters with my name, Bilyana or Martinovsky, or together for this and this period of time. And I got by now I have about 200 pages of interactions. They have been writing so many letters. They have started to. It has started with this letter. Look at her. She's linking to Bengrep, Sweden, where I and my colleagues have been exposed by the Nazis. We have reported them to the police. She's saying wrongly that I'm employed in university, Stockholm University. I was employed there for many years. Do you know where she is? I can't believe that you can connect and associate with her and legitimate her. P.S. Many people at SU are already informed about this, the security department, the press department. This is the letter that has been sent to the head of the department, and that's why he removed my position within hours. Not one, few of them afterwards follow. Then starts spreading of this. They start spreading the news on Facebook. They say, we are spreading this on Facebook. They have contacted Dagens Nyheter, it's a Bonnier Group publication. And this organization is dictating to Dagens Nyheter what to write. She says, I have just okayed the Dagens Nyheter article. The Dagens Nyheter article is not mentioning my name, but is saying that Nazis and right extremists have abused the organization that we had, and that this person who wrote the letters to my university have nothing to do with it. So they don't know that I have asked for all the communication, but they publish in the newspaper a statement, which you can see here. This is the statement that I have been involved in. So the person who wrote the letters says in the media that I have been involved in censorship of people related to the university is absurd. And she says that she has done a police report. She's police reported me. I have never had contact with this person, and I have nothing to do with destroying her life. It's a completely inappropriate accusation, and it's conspiratory. This is without them knowing that I actually have all the correspondence. So they blatantly lied in the media. And they say that they continue to talk about jihad and the purpose of jihad, and they're accusing me of right extremism, Nazism, and so on. Now, I just wanted to show you how it continues. Then she writes another letter to another professor of mine at another university. Look at her Twitter account. She's right extremist, alt-right, etc. I wonder what this etc. would mean. And anyway, the Stockholm University found out that, or concluded that she likes Putin and maybe Trump. And now this issue is together. It's at the Stockholm University for hate crime and democracy crime. And if I was you, P.S., if I was you, I would contact her. I know that Uno Forsch at Stockholm University has her email, and ask her to stop linking to Gothenburg University. Gothenburg University is my alma mater. I am teaching there. I was teaching there. I live there. My professor is from there. My publication is there. All my publications were there. My CV was there. If I were you, and if she's no longer with you, I would take down her site. I had my CV published at the university in which I worked with. I was teaching or doing research with. I had been associated with in different ways. But this is just a proposal. And actually, this is a very interesting style because they do this to other universities. The same thing. P.S. Why don't you just remove the site? My CV was removed from all universities. Everything I've ever was associated with, anybody I was ever associated with, my CV was removed. I actually had to create my own site, because I finished all my associations. It continues here, as you can see. It says that, here is the DN article as an argument that this is correct. Well, I actually went to the police and I asked, well, could you please let me know, am I police reported for something and what is it? And they said, you're not police reported, you've never been police reported. So it's not only that they lied to the Dagens Nyheter, but they lied to my colleagues about police reporting me for whatever that would be at that time. Then politically monitoring continues. The person is not, these people are not employed at Stockholm University. Yet Stockholm University does everything they ask them to do. Remove the associate professor. I'm a woman, right? They should care for female researchers. I have 4 degrees. I'm an immigrant. Don't you care about immigrants? Yes, they start so-called tillfällig namnbevakning. It's called political monitoring of my name. But not only my name in Twitter, my name everywhere and anywhere and any interactions I have. Like a private person. I mean, yes, I am a doctor, and it's a part of me, I guess. I cannot strip that, no matter where I'm employed. But how has that stopped me from being able to research things or discuss politics or anything I want to discuss? So we're having a series of letters, and this police starts this kind of policing me through the Stockholm University. Stockholm University is doing that. Then they send letters to other media, Högskolelänkaren. So other people at the university start sending other letters to other universities, to other media, to other universities, to Uppsala University. Anywhere, any stop I ever made. So I was curious, who is this person? So I went and just wrote the name and Googled, and I found that publication in Open Democracy. Open Democracy is, as you know, related to Open Society. So I mentioned that. And here there is an article by this journalist who says that even a wave of sympathy following Anna Lindh's murder did not prevent the majority of Swedes voting no to the euro. This yes vote ponders the particular timber of Swedish parochialism. So she is accusing Swedes of parochialism because they did not join the euro. This is 2003. In 2004, sorry?
Parochialism.
Yeah, let me
What
take.
does that mean?
It means it is related to being associated to the församling, to your church organization, but it actually means being simple-minded and limited-minded. So it has 2 different meanings. It's related to the församling, related to the church, but then it extends metaphorically to being simple-minded and close-minded. So they're close-minded for not taking the euro. This is 2003. You can read the article, it's there. I'm just showing you the short version. And here is another article. They have created an organization called the Democracy 8 2004, in which they have actually collected money from non-Americans in order to influence the American election 2004. Now, in 3 years now, we're listening constantly about the Russian meddling and what's going on in the United States. Can you imagine how heavy it is? These people are not just having some secret conversation with someone. No, they are actually gathering lots of money from non-American, thousands of people, in order to fight the election. So you can see the views that are expressed here. Why shouldn't we, as world citizens, have the right to give our money to good cause? When we first launched our campaign in fall 2003, we used the internet to direct small contributions from non-Americans to moveon.org. So they have been, the moveon.org, which are extreme leftists. These people are extreme left, because moveon.org felt they had to refuse our money. For our interference in your election, we have been accused of breaking the law. Well, I mean, this is the law. So this is the background of some of the people involved in this organization. I got a clear view of what this is about. An article was written about me in a newspaper I've never heard of before. A number of newspapers called me, and I answered to this person because it was very thorough person, wanted to know everything, every email. They published this article. The reason why I have this picture here on Twitter is because many years ago I was in one of my first conferences before I finished my thesis, PhD thesis, and I was on the beach. You can see me here, it's actually 4 in the morning in the Haifa beach, and I had forgotten my sandals. So I had to walk back all the way to find these sandals. And when I arrived there was a cafe outside on the beach, and there was a girl who worked in the cafe. At that time, everybody had left when I went very late at night to pick up my sandals, the only sandals I had at that time for this trip. And then I saw that she was surrounded by 6 men who looked like, I'm not sure, Eritrean or something like that, but she was on the ground, on the floor. They had opened the cashier and they were about to rape her. I just came there really and completely by chance to look for my sandals. She was so grateful that I saved her life that she took a picture of me. And I thought, well, when I'm representing the issue of the gang rapes, I should put this picture because I saved someone with that dress. And so on and so on. The Bonnier made a big trick. They said they've contacted me. They haven't contacted me at all. They lied. And the truth about Sweden is today is that there is an enormous repression. Thousands of people are sort of, if not indicted, then they are searched for, persecuted. Many were indexed. Many accounts are shut down. Sites, medias are shut down. They're contacting employers. I'm not the only one. Many other cases. Mine is kind of like one of the worst cases in the sense of me being at the university actually. And character assassinations of others in media. Some people committed suicide. If you have heard of Benny Fredriksson, who committed suicide of being hung out like this in media. I'm very far from suicide. If you ever hear that someone says that I am committing suicide, you should know I haven't even thought about it. So they're doing a lot of things, posting insults and photos in the neighborhoods, and they are throwing bottles at people, and they're doing police reports and indictments. As I arrived here, I wasn't sure if I can come because apparently they have called my son, and the police has called my son and asked, "Where is your mother?" But I don't know why they called my son, and he doesn't know why. So I kind of don't know what they will do. The Swedish Antifa is involved in this. I will go further. As you can see, the person who's responsible for the MENA situation in Sweden was the European Council of Foreign Relations is Carl Bildt, which is the Moderaterna. These are some of the funders of this European organization for the migrants in Europe. It's the Open Society, but also the Swedish institutions such as SIDA and Regeringskansliet. In 2017, this girl committed a suicide. She was raped in her home. 2 men entered, raped her brutally. Left her there, took her time to react. The police started investigation, they took DNA, and they closed the case because the perpetrator said she opened the door. She opened the door because she thought her neighbor is coming, because she has older neighbors and they usually knock and need something and she helps them. All of a sudden 2 men enter and just rape her. Well, why did she open the door? Very beautiful young life from Uppsala. I don't know if you've heard about Uppsala now. Many rapes. Serious situation with sexual abuse in Uppsala. This is after her life. Nothing in the media about it. Again, I hear from here and there about it, and it was her parents who somehow got to someone somewhere, and she had posted her suicide letter on Facebook. I don't know if I can imagine greater loneliness than that you cannot have any other contact with your co-humans than through Facebook, and you send your suicide letter, and she said, these people came here so that we can help them to have a better life. They have let them to live right close to me, and I have to see them every day. They laugh at me every day. I can't stand it anymore. This is the sadism I'm talking about. about. Why let the perpetrators around the victims? We are seeing here that the gang rape Sweden was shut down, and involved in this was so-called Juridikfronten, an extreme left organization working together with Antifa and with this young hair. Surprise, surprise, after shutting down the actual data, they publish the same data, but in Aftonbladet. And it's basically the same data. They call them boys. And they do speak about the gang rapes and say that yes, most of them are not Swedish boys or Swedish men. They're starting to investigate it, they're starting to notice that the girls and the boys, who are victims, feel very bad. I haven't heard to this day any grand solutions for how to help them. Yes, we have to finish. Then the election starts, and the election is electrified. The boys are showing us a finger. Despite all the suffering, all the rapes, they're showing us a finger. They're showing us a finger. And also this way. If you can notice, it's the same finger. These are the election results from the areas that are more heavy with migrants. They voted for the Social Democrats, the same government that we had before. But the Swedes started to dare more. They started to protest, and they started to more openly join the so-called Nazi right extremism Swedish Democrats. Shut down talks by politicians, decision taken by government. We got a new minority government now. The moderate party leader, Ulf Kristersson, has said that Löfven, you have lost control of Sweden. This was just published. This is a very strange thing to say, because Sweden is ruled by a minority government. That is, the opposition, the moderates, can anytime jump up and take the steer and change things to the better. But they never did for 8 years. And all of a sudden now they come out and say, ha, you have lost control. Of course they have lost control. They had no chance. So forbidden topics, women are sent to prison for decrying gang rapes in social media. It is actually happening. And they are indicted either to pay something or to go to prison. Islam is in Swedish media institutions, on TV, particularly in Swedish national TV, and now there is discussion about mutilation, that we cannot stop it, we should accept it, otherwise we should give up baptizing. I wanted to mention this today, so I added it to my this is Carl Hedin. It's a very famous businessman, billionaire in Sweden, who was thrown in jail for no reason, no particular reason, at least he didn't know why, for 5 days in a cold cell, and then it appeared that the police has been investigating him and wiretapping all his phones and communication for 2 years because someone secretly had reported him for killing a wolf. Yeah, right, but the gang rapists, they get a few months or a year. So this person, if you want to see, please see his interview. I was shocked when I can't believe this is really happening. I mean, they took his wife's phone also. They've been doing this with other people as well. The latest discussion is that now the government is discussing gender alteration, if children under 15 can change their gender. Thank you very much. Tusen tack. I've finished my presentation, and I hope it's an interesting topic for you to discuss free speech. Thank you.